Seth Rollins just declared war on the wrong people. Seth Rollins returned to WWE last night, and instead of going after Braun Breaker, the man he's supposedly been feuding with as a masked attacker, he brutally assaulted Paul Heyman and Logan Paul in an attack so vicious and random that it exposed WWE has absolutely no plan for what Seth's character is supposed to be doing. This wasn't strategic targeting of enemies or rivals, this was Seth attacking two people he has zero history with, creating new feuds out of thin air while the Braun Breaker storyline sits unresolved, proving WWE is just throwing things at the wall to see what sticks instead of following through on storylines they've already started. This isn't just bad booking, this is creative chaos that makes Seth look unhinged in the worst way possible. Paul Heyman is a 59-year-old manager who hasn't taken physical bumps regularly in years, and Logan Paul is a part-time celebrity who works 6 matches per year. These are the people Seth Rollins, supposedly WWE's top heel who's trying to prove veteran superiority, chooses to brutally attack? Not actual wrestlers who could fight back? Not people who've actually wronged him? Just random targets that make Seth look like a psychopath rather than a calculating villain. But here's what makes this absolutely infuriating: WWE just wasted the Braun Breaker storyline by having Seth move on to attacking completely different people before that feud even had a proper conclusion. 3 months of masked attacker build-up, a reveal that already made no sense, and now Seth just abandons that rivalry to start attacking people who have nothing to do with anything. That's not storytelling, that's attention deficit disorder disguised as creative direction, and it makes everyone involved look worse for being part of such incoherent nonsense. Hit that like button and subscribe to Wrestling News CC, because I'm about to expose exactly why Seth attacking Heyman and Logan makes zero sense, how this proves WWE has no plan for Seth's character, and why this attack might be the most random act of violence in recent WWE history with absolutely no narrative justification for happening. Let me walk you through this disaster, because the execution reveals WWE is making this up as they go. Raw opens with Paul Heyman in the ring doing his typical verbose promo, probably advocating for Roman Reigns or the Bloodline or whatever he's currently managing. Standard Heyman segment that's entertaining because Heyman is one of the best talkers in wrestling history. Then Seth Rollins' music hits. The crowd reacts with confusion because Seth has no established beef with Heyman. They've interacted over the years through various storylines, but there's no current conflict between them. No recent interactions that would justify Seth targeting Heyman specifically. Seth storms down the ramp with intensity, rolls into the ring, and before Heyman can even speak, Seth starts throwing punches. Not worked wrestling punches, stiff, aggressive strikes that have Heyman legitimately trying to protect himself rather than selling for a storyline. Security rushes in to pull Seth off Heyman, but Seth fights through them and continues the assault. He hits Heyman with a stomp, his finishing move on a 59-year-old man who hasn't taken bumps like that in years. Heyman is down, possibly legitimately hurt, and Seth stands over him screaming incoherently about respect and being overlooked. Medical staff attends to Heyman while Seth leaves the ring, seemingly satisfied with what he's done. But then later in the show Seth strikes again. This time the target is Logan Paul, who's backstage preparing for some segment or appearance. Seth ambushes Logan in a hallway, blindsiding him from behind and delivering a series of strikes before security can intervene. He throws Logan into production equipment, hits another stomp, and leaves Logan laying in a heap while cameras capture the chaos. The announcers are trying to make sense of what's happening, but they can't because WWE hasn't given them a coherent narrative. Seth is just attacking people with no clear pattern or motivation beyond seeming angry at everyone. Here's why Seth attacking Paul Heyman makes zero sense. Heyman is currently aligned with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. If Seth wanted to hurt the Bloodline, attacking their advocate makes some strategic sense. But Seth has no established feud with Roman right now. He's supposedly in a feud with Braun Breaker that hasn't been resolved. So why attack Heyman? WWE's apparent logic is Seth is a heel now, Heyman is associated with heels, so, heel versus heel? Except that creates confusion about who fans should root for and eliminates the clear face/heel dynamics that make wrestling work. The attack itself is also problematic because Heyman is 59 years old and isn't an active wrestler. Having Seth brutally assault someone who can't defend themselves doesn't make Seth look tough, it makes him look like a coward who only feels powerful when attacking non-wrestlers. The Logan Paul attack is even more nonsensical. Logan has no connection to Seth whatsoever. They've never feuded. They've barely interacted. Logan works so rarely that he's barely even on WWE programming most of the year. So why is Seth targeting him? WWE's apparent logic: Logan is a celebrity getting opportunities, and Seth's character is supposedly bitter about people getting opportunities they haven't earned. But that motivation still doesn't make sense because Seth never established that worldview before being revealed as Braun's attacker, and attacking part-timers doesn't prove anything about veteran superiority. The real reason Seth is attacking these specific people? WWE needed something for Seth to do and threw darts at a board to decide his targets without considering whether those targets make narrative sense. Here's what this does to the Braun Breaker storyline: it makes it meaningless. Seth spent 3 months attacking Braun under a mask. He was revealed. They should now have a blood feud where Braun gets revenge for months of attacks. That's basic storytelling. Instead, Seth just moved on to attacking completely different people, suggesting the Braun feud wasn't actually important enough to follow through on. That makes Braun look unimportant. If his own attacker doesn't care enough about their feud to continue it, why should fans care? It also makes Seth look scatterbrained rather than calculated. A good villain has focus and clear objectives. Seth is just attacking random people like a video game character on a rampage mission with no story context. The locker room reaction is reportedly concerned. Paul Heyman is legitimately sore from taking that stomp at 59 years old. He's not seriously injured, but this is someone who shouldn't be taking those bumps regularly at his age. There's frustration that WWE is using him for physical storylines that put his health at unnecessary risk. Logan Paul is said to be annoyed that he keeps getting pulled into WWE storylines during his limited appearances, wanting to work programs that make sense for his character rather than just being a random target because he's famous. Braun Breaker is reportedly frustrated that his storyline with Seth just got abandoned before it reached a satisfying conclusion. He was supposed to get revenge against his masked attacker, but instead Seth just moved on to attacking other people like the months of targeting Braun never mattered. Here's what should be happening. Seth should be in a focused feud with Braun Breaker, working toward a blow-off match at WrestleMania or sooner where Braun gets definitive revenge. That gives both men something meaningful to do and provides closure to the storyline WWE already started. If WWE wants Seth to also antagonize the Bloodline or Logan Paul, fine, but do it in ways that don't make the Braun feud look unimportant by comparison. Have Seth attack Hyman as strategy to weaken Roman before a future match, not just random violence. Have Seth target Logan as part of a larger campaign against part-timers, not just an isolated assault. Give Seth's actions logic and planning rather than making him seem like he's just attacking whoever WWE creative tells him to that week. My prediction? This scattershot approach fails to generate sustained interest in any of Seth's feuds. The Braun storyline fizzles because WWE didn't commit to it. The Hyman attack leads to a brief program with the Bloodline that goes nowhere. The Logan attack results in maybe one match that Logan wins because WWE won't have their celebrity look weak. And in 3 months, Seth is back to being a babyface because WWE realizes this heel run isn't working due to complete lack of coherent planning. The fan reaction has been overwhelmingly confused and negative. Social media is filled with "Why is Seth attacking everyone? What happened to the Braun feud? This makes no sense," and frustration that WWE keeps starting storylines they don't finish. Even fans who want to support Seth as a heel are struggling because WWE won't give him coherent motivations or targets that make sense. Drop your thoughts. Why is Seth attacking Hyman and Logan? Should he still be feuding with Braun? And does WWE have any plan for Seth's character, or are they just making it up weekly? Comments below. This is Wrestling News CC, calling out WWE's inability to follow through on storylines before starting new ones. Subscribe for coverage that demands narrative coherence. Seth Rollins attacked Paul Heyman and Logan Paul. The Braun Breaker feud sits unresolved. And WWE proved once again they create storylines without planning how to properly execute or conclude them. Seth looks unhinged rather than calculated. Hyman and Logan are random targets that make no sense. And Braun Breaker's storyline got abandoned before reaching a satisfying conclusion. This is creative chaos. This is WWE throwing random violence on screen hoping it creates interest without bothering to make it make sense. And everyone involved deserves better than being part of such incoherent storytelling. When will WWE learn to finish one storyline before starting 3 others? Hashtag Seth Rollins, hashtag Paul Heyman, hashtag Logan Paul, hashtag WWE, hashtag Raw, hashtag incoherent booking, hashtag random violence, hashtag no planning.